Commissioner Coronado.
Here.
Commissioner Marshall is not here right now. Commissioner Militello.
Here.
Commissioner Muhammad.
Here.
And Chair Dell.
Present.
And Commissioner Kamari has been excused, correct?
She asked to be excused. She is speaking on our behalf to the Lions Club this evening. So, what did you say that you prepared? Okay. So, we have a conflict on our agenda. Commissioner Militello was previously told that she would be doing the inspirational thought. So,
That's okay, I'll do
next time?
I'll do next.
Okay. All right, then, Commissioner Militello, could you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This body has elected, rather than having a faith-based invocation, to have an inspirational thought to help us focus on the interests of our mission, which is posted on the screen. And toward that end, our inspirational thought tonight is from Commissioner Dr. Miguel Coronado.
Thank you.
Push, right? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Great. Okay, so as you could see from our wonderful mission statement, the goal of the Tapestry Commission is to assist our community in celebrating our uniqueness, embracing common viewpoints, and creating opportunities to flourish. Based on that, I was asked to come up with a nice little inspirational thought, and I read something that caught my eye after Ms. Brenda sent me the text, and I came up with a quote by Virginia Satter. She is an American psychologist and educator, and she says that feelings of worth can flourish only in an atmosphere where individual differences are appreciated, mistakes are tolerated, communication is open, rules are flexible, the kind of atmosphere that is found in a nurturing family. And that here in Lancaster in the Tapestry Commission is what we are becoming, a nurturing family to create a nurturing community. So those beautiful thoughts come from Virginia Satter, American psychologist, and like me, an educator.
That was beautiful. Thank you. And welcome, Dr. Marshall.
Thank you. We had agenda setting with a board member, that was back in town, so it went longer.
You were at the bar again, weren't you?
No, it's not the bar. I wish.
Okay. All right, citizens who would like to address the Lancaster Tapestry Commission on any agendized item may do so when the item is being considered by the commission. Please complete a speaker card, which is in the back of the room, and identify the agenda item that you would like to discuss. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any speaker cards?
No, we don't, Chair.
Thank you. Okay. First, Chair's remarks, I just want to add one thing to the agenda, which I don't know if everyone knows, but our most recently excused Commissioner Arturo Castañón passed his exam and is now a citizen of the United States. He is very excited. And he took the opportunity to speak before City Council in December on the topic of whether the City Council should withdraw its support for the immigration policies of the state of Arizona. And after some conversation, they received speakers, and former Commissioner Castañón spoke, and I was so proud of him. And he seems so proud to be able to speak from that position. And as a member of this commission, he did so much for us, linking us to the Latino community of the Antelope Valley. So, yay. Faith and Celebration 1, I thought that went so beautifully. I enjoyed it so much. People stayed to the timeline. What they shared was so interesting. I personally was fascinated. and we didn't really take an opportunity to chat about that. Did anybody else want to say anything?
As far as for me, I was talking to one of our residents, David, outside, and I just could not believe how many different thoughts and ideas and philosophies are in the community. And I'm a so-called educator, and to not know the amount of people that we have in the community and the different ideas that are appreciated and embraced, it was absolutely educational, and I really embraced it and I enjoyed it very, very much.
Yeah. For me, it reinforced how diverse the city is in terms of, just the different people that we have. And I mean, it's just a melting pot here. And I think it's an asset. It just was nice to see. I mean, one of the people that spoke, the building's like right down the street from my house. And I've always wondered, in terms of about that particular, that faith. And to be able to kind of hear them present that, it was really interesting. So.
Well, we have the opportunity to continue to invite different faiths to come if we'd like to. We'll discuss that more in closed session or on the 23rd when we get to our working group. The Sikh temple, we would like to invite them, but the person who is our contact person is out of town. And so we have the opportunity to keep doing that. This commission had members going out to different community groups this last holiday season on behalf of the commission representing the city. Mr. Coronado and I both went to Kwanzaa, and Dr. Marshall came late as well. And didn't somebody go to the Hanukkah service? I believe maybe Commissioner Komori? I don't recall. And of course we had our own Boulevard Christmas, and I was there celebrating the ice sculptures. Did anybody else attend anything you want to have recognized?
Well, you have on here as far as the NAACP people, you have that later on the agenda.
Right.
I attended that. That was nice.
Okay, so with that, we can go ahead and start our Faith and Celebration 2. And first on our agenda is Ms. Ricky Perkins, who's agreed to come and speak to us about Buddhism. And thank you so much for joining us. And by the way, presentations made during this section of Tapestry Weavers are videotaped and put up on the website with a credit to the organization. So thank you.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you. My friend Vivian Komori invited me. I understand another friend, Maxine Schultz, was here last month. My name is Ulrika Perkins, Dr. Ulrika Bell Perkins, and I'm a retired English professor and artist. I was president of the Antelope Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship here in Lancaster for 10 years, and I'm a practicing Unitarian, Zen Buddhist, and I just joined the Free Thinkers with my husband, which David will talk about. The UU Fellowship, and by the way, we have a winter holiday called Chalaka, so keep that in mind next year, sponsors a Zen Sangha on Tuesday nights at the Center of Light from 6:30 to 8, and we've had it for several years. It's open to the community, and it follows the teachings of Vietnamese monk Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm a member of that, and I will be focusing on Zen Buddhism, but first a few facts about Buddhism. Buddhism was founded by a prince named Gautama around 500 BC. He was young, rich, and sheltered until a journey on which he saw an old man, a sick man, a poor man, and a corpse. Upset at the suffering in the world, he left his family and sought enlightenment through self-denial. This did not bring the desired results, so he sat under a tree to meditate until he attained enlightenment. This is now called the Bodhi tree. He finally arose as the Buddha, or enlightened one, and the next 45 years of his life, and this was in India, he taught the path to liberation from suffering, the Dharma, it's called a word meaning the law or the teachings of the Buddha, and established a community of monks called the Sangha. So Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha are the basis of Buddhism. The Sangha is the supportive group that supports and guides each other. The Dharma is the teaching of the Buddha, and the Buddha is the Buddha within. It's not worshiping Buddha himself, but learning his teachings and trying to attain enlightenment from within. Now Buddhism is virtually extinct in its birthplace, India, but has spread to China, Japan, Tibet, and Southeast Asia. It has also spread to the West and America, where there are 1 million Buddhists. Buddhist concepts have influenced Western society in terms of peacemaking, stress reduction, and finding inner peace and meaning in life. You can be a Buddhist and be Catholic, Baptist, Jewish, Islamic, Unitarian, whatever. It doesn't conflict. It's more of a path and a way to live than it is and it's not in conflict with these other religions. Buddhism varies across numerous sects and schools, but all share following Buddhist teachings and the goal of ending suffering and the cycle of rebirth. Some sects, in Tibet particularly, have deities, celestial beings, and other religious elements. Mahayana Buddhism, which includes Zen, Nichiren, Tende, and Pure Land Buddhism, focuses on meditation and doesn't involve a deity, and is philosophical in nature and provides a practical path for living. All Buddhists accept 4 noble truths. These are noble because the Buddha taught them. 1, life includes suffering, dukkha. This means old age, sickness, death, but also dissatisfaction, suffering, separation, emptiness, and being in unpleasant circumstances. No one can avoid these things. 2, the main cause of suffering is due to desires or cravings within us. These can include desires for sensual enjoyment, material gain and achievement, desire for continuation, or even self-destruction. 3, the cessation of suffering can be realized by eradicating craving, reaching an understanding of our true nature. Then once in this life we can experience a state of permanent peace and happiness called nirvana, and the wheel of existence is brought to an end. That is the belief in Buddhism. The 4th noble truth is that the path or set of guidelines that leads to the end of suffering is called the middle way. Many religions are dualistic. There's good and evil and things in opposition. Buddhism is not. It avoids extremes and the search for happiness through pleasure it avoids, and the search for salvation through self-mortification it avoids as well, which was very common when it was founded. Buddhism is about balance among opposites. For example, you cannot know peace without understanding conflict. You can't have a lotus without mud, because they grow in the mud. Buddhism also rests on the 8-fold path taught by Buddha. 1 is called right view, which means you understand interbeing. In other words, we're all connected. We're connected to all things. So we have to approach all things without bias, discrimination, and with compassion. That's right view. Right effort is having effort for worthwhile ends and doing it joyfully and willingly. Right intention is thoughts that lead to action, so they have to be for the right reasons and good ends. Right speech is loving, compassionate, open-minded, healing, and free from hate, division, fear, both in our writing and speaking. Right livelihood is doing our work for the betterment of the planet and beings on it, all beings, including animals. Right concentration is single-pointed attention and peaceful, focused energy. Right action is what we do with our bodies that creates our karma. Every action should help the survival of the planet. Right mindfulness is awareness, seeing, hearing deeply, listening with compassion, and being fully present in the here and now. They call this single-pointed attention, which takes a lot of meditation. Zen Buddhism started in India and spread to China in the 6th century, then Japan in the 15th century, where it flourished and still does, especially in Kyoto, where there are many, many temples. I saw a documentary about that the other night. Zen comes from a Sanskrit word meaning dhyan, which means being so conscious that not even a single thought exists. It de-emphasizes mere knowledge of sutras and doctrine. Now, dropping all thinking doesn't mean you should never think. It just means that when you're meditating, you want to get rid of monkey mind. Monkey mind is that constant chatter in our heads. I have to do this, I need to go there. And so we just try to stay fully in the present moment by concentrating on our breath. Breathing in, I feel peace. Breathing out, I feel happy. So how do you achieve this? Through meditation, chanting, Dharma teaching, Sangha sharing, and mindful, silent work and walking. For example, if you go to the monasteries, Thich Nhat Hanh started in Escondido, called Deer Park Monastery, where I was on a retreat. You eat in silence until a certain point to mindfully appreciate the people who made the meal, so forth, and they're vegetarian. And you walk mindfully, you work mindfully. And I found that quite amazing because I worked with a woman for a whole hour. We didn't say a word, and afterward we talked like we'd been best friends, and it was because of the intimacy of working quietly. Also, the Buddhists tell stories called koans that are paradoxes that allow us direct insight. For example, a Buddhist monk carried a woman across the water, and the other monks said, "Oh, that's terrible, you're not supposed to touch a woman, you're a monk, and yet you carried her." And the monk said, "I left the woman at the other side of the river, you've been carrying her all this time." That's an example of the koan. It's sort of a direct insight into the nature of wisdom. Now, Thich Nhat Hanh Thai is a monk, teacher, author, poet, and peace activist who lives in Plum Village Monastery in France and puts into action his teachings on community and enlightened society. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Martin Luther King wanted him to have it. He wanted King to have it. He's the one who told King to speak out against the Vietnamese War. And because Thich Nhat Hanh was helping both sides in the war to rebuild their villages, to bring health clinics, and to bring about peace, because it was the suffering that he was concerned about, not who was right or wrong. He travels all over the world to give retreats and talks. He was in Long Beach last year. He's also led peace marches in LA recently. And he began a practice called engaged Buddhism, which means working on your own betterment, but also working for justice, working for peace, working for change. And he came to this through the Vietnam War, his work there. He's written more than 100 books, including more than 40 in English, and promotes nonviolent solutions. And he studied at Princeton, taught at Columbia, and knows many languages, and established an order of interbeing where he teaches the 5 and 14 mindfulness trainings. Now, what is that? That is the interconnectedness of all things. In other words, you can't eat a strawberry without being aware, if you read Thich Nhat Hanh or Zen, knowing the clouds, the water that rained on it, it's not just a strawberry. You can't grow without being connected to all things. So it's sacred in a sense. There's a sacredness to the simple things, like the Japanese tea ceremony. Why do they do it so slowly? They do it because it's mindful, because then they really savor peace and the tea and so forth. His teachings, here are just 4. Learn how to handle, not cover up strong emotions. So, in other words, by being aware of our strong emotions, meditating and so forth, we learn to handle them. Learn how to bring joy and happiness in our life by attaining mindfulness, loving kindness, and higher consciousness. We do this by doing a loving kindness meditation every week. Now, it's very easy when you start with the people you love. It gets a lot harder when you go to people you dislike. You have to do that for them as well. Mindfulness helps us know what's going on in our body, our emotions, our perceptions. So Zazen, which is the meditation and walking meditation, and we need this Sangha for guidance and support, so we share in the Sangha. And this is also, the 5 mindfulness trainings are called Global Ethics. He's just written a book called Good Citizen. So if you follow these, he says you will be a good citizen. 1, reverence for life. And this comes from Hinduism. We know Gandhi had this as well. If you harm anything else, you harm yourself. True happiness is living in the here and now and recognize you already have everything you really need, and wealth and position won't bring it to you. I saw a thing about how the Japanese in the cities are working themselves to death, literally, because their jobs are so demanding and it's not bringing them any joy. True love, the 3rd, is committed relationships that give us the right context for sex and love, no affairs or harming of people by following desires. When we're motivated by cravings, it hurts ourselves and others. So he talks of cherishing fidelity and growing the love we have in our relationships. Okay, loving speech and deep listening and deep looking. In other words, when we are hurt or angry, begin anew. Appreciate the other person. Acknowledge our mistakes and tell us what they did to hurt us in a loving way so they don't get defensive. And then give and receive support. So you're beginning anew. You're not holding on to grievances. The last one is nourishment and healing. That food and drink should be healthy and not cause suffering. So maybe we can drink without drinking to excess, but our friend cannot, so then we just don't drink. We don't smoke. We don't use harmful substances. So he's everything, but they also talk about nourishment and eating as things like violent programs or movies or ads that can make us have cravings, and they're actually bad food for us, they say. So that we have to put only nourishing, positive things in our minds, because if we're around fearful, angry people, we will be fearful and angry. But if we're around loving people, we'll be more loving. So it's a kind of food in our consciousness. I want to read just one brief quote. I don't want to go on too long. At Plum Village, practitioners try to mindfully consume. We take only as much as we can eat, and we're grateful we have something to nourish us. We don't watch TV or listen to the radio or read the newspaper. We might go online to read, but we only take in what we need to know about what's happening. We don't constantly consume news because the news is not the only reality. A lot of it is focused on just what's negative because it sells. If we consume so much news, we become depressed or apathetic. It doesn't help the global situation. So I'm not a monk. I'm not doing all this to perfection by any means. I still watch TV and read newspapers, but this is the ideal. I'm just telling you, this is, we're not all monks, but we're trying to learn from this. So engaged Buddhism is to serve others, to relieve suffering, and very important to maintain our practice so we can help others, because if we're not spiritually and physically healthy, we can't serve and we can't help others in our practice. So that's all I have prepared.
That was wonderful. I have a couple of questions.
Please.
Does the Buddhist faith, or does any sect of the Buddhist faith, have a winter celebration?
I'm sure they do, but I'm not aware of that. I know that the Buddha's birthday is a big deal because they had it when I was at the monastery, and it was really fun. And they have all kinds of ceremonies. I don't know the answer to that.
And the other thing I wanted to check in about, you said that Buddhism is more of a philosophy than a religion.
Yeah, I think
so. You
so.
can practice a philosophy of Buddhism and be religiously
Absolutely.
a Unitarian?
You could be, well, it goes very well with Unitarianism because we're pretty open in our, views, but I think you could be a Catholic or a Buddha, a Baptist or whatever, and still follow, because it's really a path for mindful living, and it's certainly not against any of the teachings of Jesus or Muhammad or anyone else. It would be totally, because he was a great teacher, as was Jesus, so they're very similar in the things they say, actually. Any other questions?
I do. Where is the Center of Light again?
Okay, the Center of Light, which is a religious science, we rent space from them there, is on 10th Street West and L8. And if you're going, let's see, my north, toward Palmdale, you go right at L8, and there's a church immediately there behind the parking lot that I think they call it the Center for Spiritual Growth now. And we're in the back. The Unitarians meet at 1 o'clock on Sunday, 1:30, and our Sangha, our Buddhist Sangha, is in their little library in the back on Tuesdays from 6:30 to 6:15 to 8. And we start right away with, we practice. It's a practice more than it is anything else. You have to practice it. So learning to meditate, and really we just start with breathing. It's just like breathing, and it's difficult at first. It feels very weird, and then it gets easier to go into a deep meditation. And the sense of peace, I started it when I had difficult teenagers. Still raising teenagers, but I had 3 adopted kids who had a lot of issues, and it kept me from, getting completely unhinged at the time, because, I was just feeling stressed. And it teaches you to detach, but in a good way, where you can be actually more loving and helpful to them rather than being so emotional. So it helps you deal with situations better.
Can I ask you a question about the Unitarian Universalists?
Sure.
We did invite them, and apparently they declined.
They declined?
Apparently.
Well,
one individual declined, but we'll ask again.
Well, you can certainly ask me, because I've been a Unitarian most of my life, and I was president 10 years of the fellowship, so I would be happy to tell you about that. It would probably take more time than we have here, but Unitarians, we follow 7 principles, and interesting thing about us is we're activists. If we see injustice, we were in the forefront of as many other groups were too, of the civil rights movement, of gay rights, of so forth. We will march, and we will not. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody does. Not everybody wants to do that, but we, for example, we raise money for Catalyst for the homeless. We feel very much that our principles need to be in the world.
You mentioned a December holiday celebration. Can you tell us about that?
It's called Chalaka. Well, we light a candle every day starting December, first Monday in December. And then, for example, our first principle is the worth and dignity of every person. So on that day we would read that, and then we would do something connected with that. So we actually have to follow our own principles. And we often have a discussion of what we've done or what we can do as a group to honor that in different ways. And the interdependent web of all existence, which, by the way, is a very Buddhist concept, but we believe that, taking care of the animals is important in this kind of thing. So we try to do them. So that's really what Chalak is about.
Great, then we'd love to have you come and talk about that some more on another time. We'll invite
I'll be
you.
very happy to do that, and I'd be honored. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ulrich.
Excuse me, when is that meeting again, ma'am? Doctor? When is that meeting again, did you say?
Oh,
Thursdays?
Tuesday nights at 6:30 in the library behind the church
6:30.
there.
And you're friends with Candace.
Yeah, you know Candy.
We had dinner together for her birthday. That's where I
Oh,
remember you
that's,
from.
oh
That's
my
where I
goodness, that's you.
Yes.
Yes, we have to get together and talk. I have some books for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Thank you.
We're a very small community, aren't we? All right, we have also asked our own Commissioner Arisha Muhammad to talk to us about Ramadan, and you can do that from here or down there. That's up to you.
I can do it from here. Well, good evening. I thought that I would pull some information from the internet in reference to what the overall view is in Ramadan and give you my personal experience with it as well, as to make it clear. Ramadan is a special month of the year for over 1 billion Muslims throughout the world, and it's a time for inner reflection and looking at where your year has brought you. It's usually during the hottest time of the year, between July and September. Last year we had it from August 1st to August 30th, and it's usually 30 days. And it's like a tune-up for you're getting a spiritual tune-up. You go and you look at your accomplishments, you look at your defeats, you look at your sacrifices, you look at the things that made you get through that year. And then you find something that you want to sacrifice during Ramadan, because it's a time of fasting, and we fast from sunup to sundown with no food or nothing to drink. And because it's in the hottest part of the year, it's also the shortest time of the day. The days are short, and it gets into the sun falling early, so it doesn't seem as awful as it sounds. Some people say, well, you go all day without eating and drinking nothing. Yes, because it's a sacrifice. And then you should give up something like television or chocolate or or shopping, or whatever it is that you most enjoy. That is the thing that you want to sacrifice or give up during that 30 days. Ramadan is the third pillar of the religious obligation of Islam. Fasting has many special benefits. Among these, the most important is that you learn self-control. And that's part of the fasting, learning self-control. Can you really not take a drink of water all day? And how does that feel? And when you first start, the first 2 or 3 days is hard, but when you get to like the 4th or the 5th day, you just kind of forget to eat. When the sun goes down, you have to remind yourself to eat. And then when you break fast, you don't break fast with a 7-course meal. You break it with something as simple as some bean soup and a piece of bread and maybe some tea. And so, of course, we lose a lot of weight during that time. You also have to get away from any personal satisfactions like having intimate encounters, those types of things. So how do you put that, professionally thinking? but so, and it's a sacrifice. So there's no hugging, there's no kissing, there's no intimate types of stuff during the daylight hours, because again, it's a self-satisfaction, so you want to get away from that because you're self-sacrificing. So that's usually interesting. Ramadan is also a time of intensive worship and reading. The Quran is divided into 30 parts, and so you read one part every day until you end up reading the whole Quran. And most people, like I can say for myself, I've done that. Well, the last time that I counted, I had done it exactly 3,000 times that I've read the whole Quran since I can remember being Muslim till now, because you read the one part every day for 30 days. So you can all actually say, and what I've learned is that no matter how many times I read it, I always see something different that I didn't know was there, because it is said that during your fasting and the purification of that time, that Allah will reveal to you what is needed most in your spiritual being. So that is why you don't get to see the same thing all the time. You'll know it's there, but the book generally speaks to you. So I like that. It's also a time for charity, and usually for charity, it doesn't mean monetarily. It means, you know, put it in some extra help, going out to feed the homeless, going beyond what you would normally do, and helping people with good deeds. Maybe it might be a good word. Whatever it is, something that is charitable to do. It could be going to read to the children, something that you would go beyond what you normally do. A secondary goal for fasting is a way of experiencing hunger and developing sympathy for the less fortunate, because we take for granted that we can drink a glass of water. And we take for granted sometimes that we can go in our refrigerators and get something to eat. And even with the homeless people, when we help the homeless community, they only get so much time. But then most of them, you know, like the shelters, they get to go in the shelters, and then at a certain time they have to come out of the shelters and be left back on the street. And then what do? You know, and so helping with that. So we get to experience that. And you learn to be thankful and appreciate God. Fasting is also beneficial to health and provides a break in the cycle of rigid habits and overindulgence. You know, if you're the type of person that eats a double-double every day with French fries and a Coke, for that 30 days, you're probably not going to do that. And that's another thing, too. You get away from all meats. So you just usually end up being a vegetarian, and most people end up staying that way. You know, but you get away from the meats and you know, the Oreo cookies and the bags of potato chips and all those snacks in between, and you get away from that. While voluntary fasting is recommended for Muslims during Ramadan, fasting becomes obligatory as well. But sick people, people who are sick, people who are traveling, mothers who are expecting, are not expected to do Ramadan. Perhaps fasting in Ramadan is the most widely practiced for all Muslims forms of worship. There are several different denominations of Muslims, as it is in probably most religions. And I happen to be in the Nation of Islam, but there's American Muslim Society, there's the Sunni Muslims, there's the Shiite Muslims, there's all different types of forms of Muslims. However, the one thing that we all have in common is the Quran, the belief in Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and Ramadan. During the daily period of fasting, starting from the breaking of dawn to the end of the setting of the sun, again, in between that, we abstain from food, drinks, smoking, marital sex, and this usual practice is to have pre-fast meal. So what we do is we get up in the morning, generally, and you have your breakfast before the sun goes up, and you usually have it with your family. And when the sun comes up, you've already eaten your meal, so it generally holds you throughout the day. But again, you don't eat like you know you're never going to be able to eat again all day long. So you're very mindful. You don't have 9 eggs and, you know, 100 pieces of bacon, because you know you're going to be fasting all day. Okay, and then in the end, again, as I said, that we make sure. Then at the end of Ramadan, we have what we call the Eid feast, and that feast is where all the Muslims get together and generally have what we call a big feast, and everybody's like a big potluck. Everybody bring, and we give gifts to our children. That's the time when the children get gifts. It's a holiday for us, so we celebrate it, and that's it. That's it in a nutshell. Just wanted to be very brief about it, but that's it.
And you've done this how many times?
I've been, since I was, my first fast, I was 12.
Wow.
And I'm 57.
I'm very impressed and humbled. Okay. The Episcopalians have to show up at Christmas and Easter and tithe and you're forgiven and move on. Okay, that's an oversimplification. Any questions for Dr. Muhammad? All right, well, thank you very much.
Very informative.
Y'all made me nervous.
You just didn't want us to know how much better than us that you are?
Oh, no.
Because
No,
I couldn't do that.
I'm still striving.
That makes Lent sound like a picnic.
Doesn't make the cheat though. Yeah.
All right, so next I've invited David Dion from the Antelope Valley Freethinkers to come. And I became familiar with the Freethinkers from Facebook, one of my fabulous community networking opportunities. And what I love about them is that they describe themselves as anti-theists. So in that way, it's a different way of looking at faith and celebration. And by the way, I'm sorry, before we go on, did we get a Weaver's card from Ms. Perkins, Dr. Perkins? I have one right here, actually, because that's how we know how to label the section of the video. Terrific. Super. So thank you for coming, David. Go ahead.
Thank you for inviting me. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Dion. I'm co-founder and president of Antelope Valley Freethinkers. Freethinkers. What is a free thinker? To some, it has a sort of new age connotation or hippie vibe. But technically, a free thinker is someone whose thinking about religion is free from dogma, authority, and revealed truth, and based instead on reason and scientific evidence. Free thinking doesn't have to be limited to religion, however. It can also be applied to economics, medicine, immigration, social programs, the environment, foreign policy, and any number of things which affect our lives. Many freethinkers identify themselves as atheists, agnostics, humanists, rationalists, or skeptics. Some defy any and all such labels. I call myself an atheist. Antelope Valley Freethinkers began as an affiliate of Atheists United, an organization based in Los Angeles, in 2007, and in 2009 we became our own nonprofit corporation, and I have proudly served as president ever since. We have 164 people registered on our website and 43 official dues-paying members. We meet on the first Sunday of the month at the Greenhouse Cafe in Lancaster. The discussion topic for next month's meeting is gun control. Never let it be said we're afraid to take on controversial issues. In March, we will be celebrating a significant milestone, our 100th meeting. Our mission is to promote a rational worldview through fellowship, education, and community service. Fellowship is probably one of our most important functions. Many non-believers feel isolated, thinking they are the only ones who have doubts about God or the church or religion. For many of our members, our meetings are the only opportunity to express their true beliefs and opinions without fear of ridicule and rejection from friends and family. We are a growing minority, but still a minority. Your theme this month is faith and celebration. I'm sure you've realized by now we don't have faith in any religious sense, but we do observe many of the same holidays as other community members. While we don't celebrate the birth of Christ at Christmas, for example, we do indulge in caroling, decorating, gift-giving, and gathering with friends and family. We celebrate New Year's by reflecting on the past year and making resolutions for the new. And this will be Antelope Valley Freethinkers' 4th time starting the new year by participating in the Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service. Almost any holiday, religious or otherwise, is observed in our own way. We are the kind of people we hope you will come to appreciate. We are creative, compassionate, informed, and not intimidated by the status quo. Our members include teachers like myself engineers, artists, social workers, lawyers, computer programmers, and students. We are men and women from a variety of cultural, political, and ethnic backgrounds. We are straight and gay, married and single, young and old. The community needs people like us who value evidence and reason to address the many challenges facing our world. I extend to you an open invitation to join us at a monthly meeting to get to know us and to see for yourselves what true assets we can be. I thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak to you this evening.
Thank you, David. What is the Martin Luther King Day of Service focus this year?
There's a variety of things that people can participate in, and it hasn't been finalized yet, but I believe we're going to be working on some service projects at Paiute Middle School. The principal's working with Angela Riley at the city, and we'll probably be doing some cleanup projects, painting, things like that. So that's what we're planning on doing this year.
Terrific. Any other questions?
What time are your meetings?
11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Generally what we do is we pay at the counter. You say you're here for the Antelope Valley Freethinkers meeting, and join us in one of the 2 banquet rooms they have. Lately we've had about 20 to 30 people at a meeting, so they usually try to put us in the larger one. But if you would like to come, I'd be happy to pay for your meal if you want to join us as our guest.
Is it required that someone come and pay and eat, or can they just come?
You can just come, because what happens is Greenhouse Cafe reserves that banquet room for us as long as we pay a minimum of $50 between the group, across the group. So if we don't make that minimum $50, then we have to make it up some other way. But we usually have so many people there that, I mean, if you just got a glass of water or some kind of drink, it probably would be fine. I mean, don't feel like you have to pay or buy a huge meal to go. So
When is that again?
it's the first Sunday of every month, and we just had our last one this past weekend. So
It's generally in the AV Press.
in the community news section, it'll have a little announcement, AV Thinkers to meet. It usually comes out that Saturday for the meeting on Sunday. So you'll see us mentioned there usually.
Any other questions?
Grab one. How is it? It was a very interesting presentation in terms of like being in the Lancaster community. I mean, how's that work? Is the community welcoming, or is one of our charges?
I think it just depends. It depends on who you talk to, and for a lot of people, they don't want to mention their free thought inclinations to coworkers or things like that. Right. But other ones are perfectly fine. Some of our members like to be low key, and some just like the attention. Like they want to stand up and announce to the world, you know, their views, and they don't really care what anybody thinks. But one of the things we're hoping to do is, as we get larger and attract more members and more people know we're here, that people will become part of the community, and we won't be the outsiders anymore. We won't be the people on the edge. We'll be someone that, oh, they're just another group, and they're a group of people that do things for our community, and we have lots of different parts of our community.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. That was one of the most concise, clear, and informative presentations that we've had. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice talking to you, David.
Yes.
All right.
Are we able to leave now? Because I know you're going to do private business, so I just
Well,
want to
you're
close on-
you're not required to leave now. If you'd like to go, their door is open, and we're glad that you came.
Thank you so much.
Okay, commissioner update on community presentations to service organizations. Dr. Coronado, could you talk about the presentation at the NAACP?
Yes. I was asked by Ms. Blanco, the secretary of the NAACP, to be the master of ceremony at the outgoing of President Juan Blanco, president of the NAACP, and I was extremely honored that I was asked to do that. I have been working with Mr. Blanco for about 2 years, and in that time we became very good friends and very close friends, and he has served as a mentor. He's actually one of the principal people that I spoke about when I was asked to apply for the Human Relations Commission, and he pretty much smacked me in my head that I would even ask that. But it was wonderful. We had our city manager there presenting an award. We had Captain Denham and Steve Fox, and we have members of Mike Antonivi's office there to present an award. The editor of the Antelope Valley Press was there to say a few words as well, and wrote an article. Dennis Anderson was there to say a few words. Roger Galizzi was there as well. Countless people in the community, as we call the movers and shakers of our community, and he was absolutely honored to be presented with his beautiful awards. I represented an award that we gave to him at the leader gathering, where our chair received an award that day from the California State Assembly. So I represented that to him again. And wonderful food, wonderful time, great energy, very happy event, and again, I was very honored to participate.
And the city of Lancaster presented a commendation
Yes, they
to
did.
Juan Blanco.
Yes, the city manager.
Mark,
And
you were there?
Dr. Marshall.
Yeah, tell me what your perception was, Mark.
It was really, it was really nice in terms of you got to see a lot of things that Juan had done in the, with the organization in the community. And it was nice that you had people from all over the Antelope Valley to come and just commend him for that work. I mean, it was really nice. I mean, he was really celebrated. I think that it was a very positive experience.
That sounds like history.
Yes, that's a good way that's a good word to describe it.
Terrific. That's terrific. All right, and then Dr. Marshall, you attended a fundraiser for Agents of Change
yes,
that Dr. Coronado put on. What was your perception of that?
It was a nice event to see up and coming leadership in the community. It was really, it was really nice as far as, they are, people wanting to make a difference. Agents of Change, hence the name, very appropriate. The fun was real nice. That was very well attended, well organized. The group, they are going to be, they're going to have be giving a public service award. That date's going to be finalized. It's going to be coming up. But it was just really exciting to see a bunch of young people in the community, because you always look at, when you look at like going to the situation with the NAACP with Mr. Blanco. But what happens when leadership changes? Do we have people up, in line to step up and to fill those voids? And if you look at the Agents of Change as far as in our community, you see these young people there. I mean, it just showed that we have people in the wings waiting to make that difference. So it was very, very positive.
And Dr. Coronado, did you meet your financial goals so that you can file your 501c3 application?
No, we didn't. Far from it. But just the fact that you were there and Dr. Marshall was there and our current assemblyman was there. There's a lot of people that were there that made the Agents of Change, which are a group of young kids in the community. That's all they are. We have about 20 of them, and they're still growing. And they were really inspired. There was a beautiful article written in the AV Press about it. They're just a great example for them of what it is that you need to do in the community to better your community, and the only way you're going to do that is by getting involved. And they've already participated in our Christmas parade that I'm sure we're going to talk about. They're going to be participating in the Martin Luther King Day of Service. So they're very anxious. They're young kids that are number 3 in the nation as far as academics in the nation. These are Harvard, Stanford bound kids, and what's beautiful about it is it's minority kids for the most part. We do have a few beautiful blondes and with blue eyes as well in there, and this is an organization that started as being an organization where it's going to make a difference to the Latino community. That was changed when we started to see a multicultural interest, and we said, you know what, we are going to allow anybody that wants to be part of it. And the picture indicated from the AV Press, we had African Americans, Latino, whites. It was absolutely gorgeous. So very, very proud.
Well, that's lovely. And Diana Love, who I know that you're familiar with,
Absolutely.
has now completed not just the 501c3 application for the prior Human Relations Commission. She has just been granted her 501c3 for Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. So if you need help with your 501c3, she is your girl.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Well, we wanted to make sure, as Dr. Masha know, we were sitting next to each other eating burritos and tacos, because we had all you could eat burritos, all you could eat tacos, all you could drink. So we wanted to make a very special event. It was a first impression, and you know the old cliche, you can never make a first impression, you know, so more than once. So we wanted to make sure that we fed the people and that we're very happy. And yeah, we were far from getting what we want to do, but some of the money was donated to the Honor Society of one of the kids that are presidents. They're also leaders within the school, so we donated $150 to them. We still needed $2,500. So I'm working with other people that might be able to just go ahead and donate the money, because they have seen that this is a pretty successful group that is very committed. So thank you for letting me know about Ms. Diana Love. I'll be working with her.
Terrific. And Vivian Kamori, last Sunday, Commissioner Kamori went out and did a presentation to the Unitarian Universalists. I'll be talking about that a little bit more in our working session. But that is something she did last Sunday, and then tonight she's presenting to the Lions Club. So that's the coveted slot that we wanted, but unfortunately now she can't be here today. Martin Luther King Day of Service. Can you give us an update, please, Brenda?
Yes, I was not able to reach Steve Engelbrandt, but I did talk to the director of the Committee on Aging, and he is very interested in working with us in the future, but they are not quite ready to start their program. So we'll look at July, and he's very interested in the Agents of Change, working with them to start going out to houses and visit with the aging. And we'll get together later on that. But for Martin Luther King Day of Service, we are reaching out to some other organizations that I'm sure we will find one that wants to have the youth come and visit. We've got several that always are looking for people to come and visit. So we're reaching out to them. We've just are playing phone tag. So
What service presentations do you know of for that Saturday, in case Tapestry commissioners have some time to drop by? I'll be out of town, but I know we're interested.
it is on the website. I don't have that listing with me right now, but it's on our website. The projects are filling up very quickly, so it's now down to only a few projects that are looking for volunteers. But we will get a listing out for the commissioners of where those projects are and what times they are happening, so that you can go by any of them that you want.
Terrific. Julie Buchanan Plaisance, who came out and did our presentation on bullying preventions and different curriculums, had participated on behalf of Monte Vista Middle School or elementary, in the Glidden paint contest. And this was a contest where people in the community could vote for the school of their choice, and there were 5 finalists, and Julie, being the concrete thinker that she is, uncovered what she identified as unfair voting practices, and brought this up with Glidden, and so they gave a consolation prize to Monte Vista of all of the paint necessary to repaint. So the outreach center and the out project is putting some labor into going out to going out to Monte Vista and doing the paint job with the paint. So if you know of any individuals, they can use as many hands and paintbrushes as possible. I guess Monte Vista hasn't been painted for like 30 years.
When is that gonna be?
I don't know whether it's that Saturday or on Monday. Do you happen to know, Brenda?
I think it is part of the day, so, but I can verify.
I believe
Let
it
you know.
is, but you can go on the website of the outreach center and
So they
it's
need
probably
volunteers to
there.
help paint.
Yes,
I can volunteer some people.
terrific. That's terrific. And they can contact me or you can contact me and we'll get you connected because there's so many different programs going that day. It just keeps getting bigger and that's something to be proud of.
As far as the, now, when Ms. Brenda came out to meet the Agents of Change at our meeting and brought up the Martin Luther King Day of Service, they initially had a choice of what other different things that they wanted. They did choose to work with the senior citizens. Now that that's not going to happen, are they going to have another choice or to participate? I have a meeting with them on Friday, so I have to report to them on that.
Are you wanting them to be busy on that day?
Well, they wanted to.
I'm sorry. I must not have been clear. It will happen. We're
Oh,
just working with other organizations. We wanted to give the opportunity first to the AV Committee on Aging because they came to Tapestry and presented and said that they wanted to eventually start the program. So I did touch base with them today finally, and they said they just aren't quite ready to start that program. So now we've started the process of reaching out to all the other organizations. So I did talk to Jen Skidmore, who volunteers for two of the, she's very busy. she volunteers at two of the senior citizen homes out here. And she said that they're always looking for people to come and visit. So she gave me some contacts, so I am positive we will find.
Okay. So we'll have a
before then.
date and time of where we should show up on that 19th, May 19th?
Yes, it will plan on the morning time,
Okay.
and but we'll firm up the date and the location ASAP.
Great. Yeah, I'm meeting them on Friday at 5:30.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds
Thank you
good.
very much.
Sure.
Brenda made quite a bit of progress on that just today, so.
Okay.
Everybody's kind of drifting back to work and engaging their brain. I was nailed on that by Brenda the other day myself. Okay, we don't have any public business from the floor. In fact, we have no floor. Da-da-da. And speaking of which, Brenda is going to ensure that the website face page includes our meetings because somehow that doesn't come through Anita, the city manager's secretary, and so Brenda's done the calendar, sent it out to each of us. I'm going to ask that you do whatever you have to do to get that into your calendar so that we don't miss you.
I actually have not sent it to the others yet, but I will.
Okay. I was gonna say,
And
is that?
You're making me a liar.
I'm sorry, I sent it to you, so you
Okay.
thought I did send it to everybody. So
So,
I will. And as of today, all the meetings for the full year are listed on the in the calendar. So as they start, as we get closer to them, they'll start popping up in the calendar section. So they're on there now.
and if we cancel or want to change a schedule, then we'll get it shifted. So, moving on to staff updates, one of which is that when you have a chance, if you could send the calendar out.
I will. I promise.
I'm sorry.
Yes, we actually are through our event season until Poppy Festival, and we have Martin Luther King Day of Service coming up on the 19th, as you know, and then we don't really have anything till Poppy Festival. So our Parks Department is very happy about that. Although we had very successful events, they're very tired, so Parks and Public Works. So I really don't have any updates for you. Everything's going well, and
The mediation and the dogs.
Oh, we're going to get to that on working session. Yeah.
yes, all your projects are going well. They're still continuing, and yes.
Okay, commissioner comments, any reflections anyone would like to share?
Tonight again was a very was a good example of again diversity of this community. I mean, it just shows you diversity in diversity their strength, and that's why this community is going in the direction that it's going, because of all the diversity in our approach.
Again, on the Agents of Change, I'm working with Ms. Brenda to see if we could get the mayor to come to. We actually postponed it for two reasons. One, because we really want you to attend. The January 19th event was canceled because I also spoke to Ms. Brenda and see if we could actually get the mayor at our event. And Yuri spoke to your significant other, and she told me you guys are going to be gone. So I spoke to the Agents of Change. I spoke to my host. They're going to let us borrow a house. So we borrowed a big home where we're going to be honoring people in our community for their public service. Now, these awards we're going to be giving on the day of the Agents of Change fundraiser and recognized. However, Roger Hernandez, the majority whip in Sacramento, was not able to attend and did not bring the award, so we didn't even say anything about it. He excused himself. He was extremely apologetic. I told him not to worry about it. Can you please mail him to me? So he had me contact his one of his directors. They emailed me the awards. We have one for RX Paris, Steve Urea, the captain of the CHP, Bobby Denham, captain of Palmdale, Gilberto Hernandez, he's a public affairs California Highway Patrol here in Lancaster, Dr. Krishna, always very supportive to our agents, more than you could possibly know. He just doesn't like saying it. Bo Bynum, who will be running for re-election. Actually, he's not going to run for election, but he's in the Palmdale School District. Carol Sanford, she's running for re-election. She will be receiving an award for public service through the California Assembly. Roger Galizzi, our own Dr. Mark Marshall, Michael Dutton, that will be retiring. He is the principal of Soar High School. So he was very touched when I told him that his kids, along with the California Assembly, will be presenting an award. Juan Blanco, his wife, Ms. Blanco, Daisy Gonzalez from Cable Communications, Jacqueline Loza from Agents of Change, Renee Calderon from Agents of Change, Stephanie Sandoval, which you guys met, the beautiful blonde hair, blue eye Mexican, and also Lou Gonzalez, the owner of Lancaster Chevrolet. So we're gonna have all these people there. We are working it out with the Agents of Change so that we could provide all the food. So all you guys have to do is just show up and eat and come celebrate these leaders. And Sudel and Dr. Marshall has been at our events. We drink, we eat, we have fun, and we're gonna be giving out awards, and this gives the kids a chance to mingle with our leaders because they're up and coming. So it's gonna be a beautiful event, and I really hope that you guys can make it. It's not gonna cost you anything like it normally does. This time it's for free. So
When is this?
we are still working with Ms. Brenda to see when it's gonna be very, very nice. Ms. Brenda's gonna let me know when the mayor can make it. We want him, he gets away according to Sudel, our chair. He leaves on weekends. We're trying to get on a Saturday. But if we have to change it to accommodate the mayor for him to be there, it's good for the kids. It's good for us. It's good for the community. And if he cannot make it on that day, then we're just gonna have to have it anyway. Before my host changes his mind. Yeah.
Okay.
He's Cesar Chavez, used to work for Cesar Chavez. He's an old activist from the 50s and 60s. And his son is an educator and a very good friend of mine. So we're looking forward to having it. We don't know the date yet. We changed it from the 19th to whenever Ms. Brenda lets me know.
Thank you, Dr.
There we go.
Dr. Muhammad.
I just want to say, first of all, thank you all so very, very much for your words of condolences for the death of my sister. And I appreciate it. I said to Brenda that when I got her words, I could actually picture her saying it because her voice is so soft, and it brought me to tears because I could see that. But Sue was so kind to inform you all, and you all responded immediately, and that meant a lot. So thank you so very, very much for that, and my family thanks you. Oh, no, that was so nice.
Mr. Militello. Well, I am very excited to start 2013. All kinds of ideas, and we need to recruit 63 more people because we're going to get some stuff done in this valley. Because everybody we know who's doing anything is wearing 3 hats, and I'm so proud to be among you. And the word that Tapestry is sincere and building bridges and present and nobody's stupid arm is getting out there. And I watch the words trickle through Facebook, which is often the avenue for, you know, screaming about Lancaster, and having one of the most negative people about Lancaster step up in person and on Facebook for me and for Tapestry as being sincere and an arm of change was really nice. So congratulations to us. We've been out there. We've been making ourselves present. We've been a voice. We're the positive PR of bridges, but we are doing good stuff, and thank you so much. I'm proud of us.
That's good.
So,
I forgot to mention, Chair, I'll be going to President Obama's inauguration. I leave on the 19th.
wow.
Yes, I leave on the 8th. Forgot to mention that.
Good thing you're not having a fundraiser over there. Okay, so I'm going to adjourn the public portion of the meeting.